Welcome back to this newsletter business course. It's completely free. We're spending 30 days helping you set up a newsletter business in the best way to help you be profitable as soon as possible. This is masterclass number 4. We're looking at free traffic. So that's free ways that you can get your newsletter in front of people and get those subscribers. We're going to do paid traffic next week. And as I've mentioned in the previous videos, as you can see here, we've been through the other masterclasses and tons of other content. I will be going through paid versions as well. This is our tracking through the course. And paid will get you there faster, but if you don't have the budget, that's okay. We're going to be talking, as I said, through these free methods. Now, we talked about SEO a bit and free methods, and we talked about borrowing other people's audiences already in one of the other free methods. And it's that idea of borrowing other people's audiences that I want to come back to today, but we're going to do it in a slightly different way to how we did it previously. So what we're going to be talking about is the fact that quite a few of the methods you start out with, such as the one we did in Masterclass 1 focusing on social media, it's going to be this idea of you're going to be trying to communicate one person and get that one person onto your newsletter. And that's fine as initial strategy, but what we want to do is we want to find our audience. We want to find where our audience is hanging out. And I did a whole video on audiences before earlier in the course. If you go down to the description, you can get a link to the playlist so you can get all the videos in one place. We want to find out where they are and who already has our audience. So if we can find where our audience is, or find somebody who already has our audience in front of them, so they've got a website or they've got a YouTube channel or they've got a Twitter page, then we can access their audience. Now, as I mentioned before, we'll talk about paid ways of doing this next week, but there are free ways of doing this, accessing somebody else's audience where they might have 500, 10,000 people that are interested in what your newsletter is already about, and we can get ourselves in front of them. That's going to be a much better way of doing this than one-to-one. So what we need to do is find out where our audience hangs out, or more specifically, do some research and find out where the creators are that have our audience. And then what we're going to do is we're going to reach out to these. So I talked about in the previous video in masterclass number 3, a way that you can do that with written content and using AI tools. This one, you're going to have to be a little bit braver, because we're going to talk about getting in front of this audience and actually representing as ourselves or our brand. And one way you can do this is getting onto somebody's podcast, or potentially doing a video podcast on somebody's YouTube channel. Now, if you can find somebody, and there are Facebook groups that you can go to, communities out there where podcasters hang out or creators hang out, and you can get into one of these communities and you can start talking to creators in there and find somebody who's got a podcast or a YouTube channel where they're within the same niche and you can offer them some value. So for example, you offer to go onto their YouTube channel or their podcast and do an interview with them, talk around a particular topic, and in exchange, you get to promote your newsletter. Now, you want to be really clear how you're promoting your newsletter. So for example, you want them to mention it in the intro. You want to be able to pitch it to people at the end of the interview. You want a link to it to be placed inside of the description. If they're then going to promote that particular episode out to their email list or places like that, social media, you want to ask for the link to your newsletter to go out to those places as well. And in exchange, you want to do the same. You want to be promoting your interview within your next newsletter episode to your social media if you've already got it set up. Even though you might be quite small, you still share a common audience, so you can move people between, and you're not directly competing because you've got a newsletter that's written form, they've got a YouTube channel or a podcast that is audio and visual. So you're not actually directly competing with them. You're actually trying to help them grow, and in turn, they're helping you grow. And okay, yeah, somebody who's got 10,000 subscribers, if you've only got 100, might not be interested, but you can find somebody who's small out there who is probably struggling to find guests or find people to talk to and would be interested in having you on. So go find out where they hang out, Find out what their podcast is about. Find some way that you could give value to them. So whether that's talking about a topic that they don't really cover, or building on a topic they've already talked about in a different way, contact them, see if you can get on their podcast and get that exposure, and then you'll be able to show your expertise, your knowledge, your value in that podcast episode when it's been released, and then get some subscribers to your newsletter that way. So that's our last video in this series of 4 on free traffic. What you'll find out next week is we're going to move on to methods of paid traffic. So if you can find some ways of getting some money together, I'm going to start showing you how you can use the Beehive platform and other platforms in order to get subscribers, get ads out, and get your newsletter out in front of other people and be able to get subscribers that way. You will grow quicker than organically. I'm not saying doing these free methods is not worth it. You should definitely be doing the paid and doing the free methods as well. But if you want that growth to be quicker than doing these 3 methods that we've talked about here, then you might want to start thinking about investing some money. If you see the card on the screen now, you should be able to click through to a video where I'm going to be showing you our different AI tools that you can use to build your newsletter. Otherwise, we'll see you in our next video on paid traffic. We'll see you in the next one.